clone commandos are considered the absolute best in the clone trooper army. So if the clone commandos were the ones training the TK troopers, why the hell were the TK troopers still ass?
Stand by. Attention on deck.
Travis, again, thank you so much for the Prime sub. I love you. I love you so much. And yeah, let's get this intro started. YouTube, welcome back to another video. And happy Star Wars Day. And of course, you know I gotta make a Star Wars video being a Star Wars fan. We are so close to 100 subscribers by summer. I know you guys can do it. We are really close, if you guys can tell by the sub count. I hope you guys will consider subscribing, commenting, liking, all that stuff just to boost my channel into the algorithm and all that. And a quick PSA for those that enjoyed my Outdoor Boys videos, reactions in the past month or whatever. Currently, right now, there is somebody going around striking as many VTubers as he can. And unfortunately, my channel got a copyright strike. Yes, I'm mad about it, but I'm not going to get into it anymore. So for the time being, Outdoor Boy videos will no longer be uploaded or on the channel anymore. So until that gets fixed by YouTube, no more. Anyways, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1, and boom.
You already know Stormtroopers. White armor, bad aim, endless cannon fodder. But
True.
That's just the standard type. The Empire fielded over 40 distinct variants, including some soldiers classified so deeply that most Imperial citizens never knew they existed.
Okay, but my question is, how many of these Stormtroopers are actually canon? Because as far as I'm aware, clone troopers are all canon, every single one of them. But Stormtroopers, there's the legacy Stormtroopers, and then there's the canon Stormtroopers. So like, Red 5 will probably explain it in the video.
And a few that technically weren't even alive.
Ooh.
But before any of this makes sense, you need to understand what the baseline actually was. Standard Stormtroopers wore white plastoid armor plates over a black body glove, carried an E11 blaster rifle, and were the Empire's default ground soldier. Red and orange pauldrons typically identified squad commanders, though given the average life expectancy, that wasn't always considered a coveted role. What made the Stormtrooper Corps unusual wasn't the equipment, it was the logic behind it. The Republic's clone troopers were elite and far superior, but cloning Jango Fett at scale was expensive. Palpatine wasn't building an army of operators, he was building one too large to resist. Conscription was cheaper, and a drop in individual quality and skill was fine. Numbers were the whole point. The elite squad troopers,
which was proven for like a good amount of time during the original trilogy. Like, there were a lot of times where rebels and whatnot were overwhelmed by just the sheer numbers of stormtroopers, whether they were good or not. It's kind of dumb in my opinion. Palpatine, I get it, but
were among the first conscripted non-clone soldiers the Empire put in the field. A handful of them served under Crosshair after the rest of Clone Force 99 deserted. And Crosshair even later killed 4 of them with a single shot. That moment pretty much tells you everything about where these guys stood relative to the clones they were replacing. Their armor was identical to Phase 2 clone gear, just dark gray with green visors. But the soldiers inside the repainted armor were a massive downgrade from the clones that once wore it. TK troopers.
But one of the elite squad troopers did survive by season 2 of the Bad Batch. I gotta rewatch it, but she survived, and I think she pretty much proved a point that clone troopers are obsolete at that time. And so I don't know. I like to think in my head canon that was Eden Verso, the main character from the 2017 Battlefront 2 game, but I digress.
Were the first mass
TK
wave
Troopers.
of non-clone Imperial
I
soldiers.
love their armor,
And
dude.
Their prototype armor actually
numbers
has
always
a pretty
win, yeah.
interesting origin. It was based on Ralph McQuarrie's original Stormtrooper concept art from the development of the original trilogy.
Wow.
Visually,
I didn't know
it sits
that,
right
really?
between Phase 2 clone armor and the Stormtrooper kit we all
Yeah.
know.
Technically, Phase 3 Clone Troopers and Phase 1 Stormtroopers. It just looks so cool, man. And they make a return in the Maul Overlord show that's coming out. I think I have 8 episodes so far right now. And honestly, as someone who collects the action figures, everybody else who's also collecting action figures are asking for the TK Troopers. And it's like, Hasbro, hurry up. Please, give us the TK Troopers. And they look the same. Yeah, yes, they do for the most part. There's only let me move my dumbass model. There's only like a distinct difference. Obviously with the helmet, I mean, they get a little bit different, and then the armor is a little bit different. It's just, I mean, they're your standard all white armor cannon fodder soldier. That's pretty much what they are. So of course they all look the same relatively, but it's just the small little details with the TK Troopers that I really like. It's a mixture of these two into one, and it's just cool, if you ask me. It looks way better than the normal Stormtrooper armor. Oh.
They were trained by clone commandos under Project War Mantle, the Empire's classified program to phase out the clone army entirely. The
Yeah.
transition happened quickly and quietly.
Which is kinda
galactic
stupid, though.
citizens never noticed, which was exactly the point.
Because clone commandos are considered the absolute best in the clone trooper army. So if the clone commandos were the ones training the TK troopers, why the hell were the TK troopers still ass? Like, the TK troopers were getting bodied by your everyday fucking space cop. Like, seriously? Where did all that training go?
There's something about Star Wars that sticks with you. The ships,
Yeah.
the battles, the moments that feel bigger than life. And at some point, you want to bring a piece of that into your own world.
Oh,
That's
is
where
it-
Display
Oh,
comes
okay.
in. These are premium
thought this was
metal
gonna be a
posters
lightsaber ad.
made from durable steel
But Display
with
is cool.
insanely crisp, vibrant designs that really stand out. Whether it's classic Star Wars artwork, iconic ships, or something more unique, there are over 2 million designs to choose from, including officially
excuse me.
licensed pieces. And the setup is ridiculously simple. No drilling, no tools, no damage. You just use the magnet system, snap it into place, and you're done. And if you
I've
ever want to
always
swap
wanted
designs,
one.
it takes seconds.
But
you can
they're
even
kind of
create
expensive.
your own custom display, turning your favorite
I
image
get
into
why,
a metal
but
poster,
still.
which is honestly one of the
Ugh,
coolest
fuck.
ways to make your setup feel personal. So, if your room's looking a little more like a moisture farm than a rebel base, it might be time for an upgrade. Check out
Maybe.
the link in the description and use my code at checkout to get a discount. You'll get
We'll see.
26% off one display, 31% off 2, and 36% off
Maybe
3
during the
or
holidays,
more,
I'll probably get a
because
display
some
thing.
stories deserve more than just a screen. Sand Troopers were the first stormtroopers to specialize in a specific environmental condition, trained and equipped for desert operations on planets like Tatooine. They had cooling fans, helmet sand
2 out of
filters,
5
and
burp.
survival backpacks stocked with extra rations and water, because the desert would kill you long before any rebel would. Orange and black
Especially in that
pauldrons
armor.
were standard, and some units even rode dewbacks for extended patrol across the Dune Sea. Not exactly the glamorous end of Imperial service.
I do want to know, though. Does the Stormtrooper, or like the Sand Trooper armor, come with built-in AC? Because you know damn well that armor has to be hot in a planet like Tatooine, bro. I think a heat stroke or something would kill these stormtroopers before anything that would. Like, it's wild.
At the opposite end of the spectrum, snowtroopers wore armor that was heavily insulated with a heated breather mask for tundra environments like Hoth.
Yeah, so it's like the snowtroopers, that is obvious. They need the heat. But does the sand troopers have AC? That's what I want to know.
On Hoth, they were the tip of the Imperial spear during the assault on Echo Base. And honestly, they were effective. Right up until a lightsaber opened up an AT-AT walker from underneath. Shore troopers were trained for operating on tropical and coastal planets, most notably Scarif, Morak, and Niamos.
And they look
wore
the most
sand-colored
badass.
armor with rank-indicating colored stripes,
They look so
operating
cool,
under
dude.
sergeants leading squads of standard shore troopers. Here's an interesting detail though. Their armor offered more environmental capability than the standard kit, but no additional protection in
Medieval
combat.
armor would look so
more
sick.
features, but the same amount of durability.
I mean, technically, I think technically in the Star Wars era, medieval times was the Old Republic. So, like, all the Old Republic cutscenes or whatever that you see, that's technically the medieval armor.
The Empire didn't always spend where it probably
under
should
the
have.
sun?
Sea troopers maintained
Yeah.
Imperial presence on aquatic worlds like Mon Cala.
That's what I'm thinking.
They had pressure-sealed armor, extended rebreather systems, a back-mounted propulsion units, propulsion boots, flippers, the full setup. Their standard weapon was a blaster rifle and spear gun hybrid, which worked in
I didn't
both
know the
environments.
Empire still
Basically,
had the sea
they were the
troopers or
successor
the
to
aqua
the clone
troopers.
scuba troopers that came before. Swamp troopers, or mud troopers,
These
as
guys
the
are cool,
soldiers
too.
themselves called them, technically existed outside the formal Stormtrooper Corps entirely, but we decided to include them. Their goggles
fair.
and oxygen masks filtered out
I
the
have
toxic
one of the figures.
substances common on the hazardous worlds they were sent to pacify, though they didn't always bother wearing them in the field. Imperial
duh.
naval cadets deemed insubordinate, including a young Han Solo, were often reassigned here as a form of punishment. That's because these soldiers often saw some of the worst deployments, such as the muddy trenches during the Battle of Mimban. Wet weather gear stormtroopers fought alongside the swamp troopers on Mimban, but were actually members of the Stormtrooper Corps. Extra spacing between their armor plates at the shoulders, hips, and knees allowed for better movement in dense terrain, plus they wore waterproof capes. The top portion of their helmets was
That part I don't understand why. Besides aesthetics, what the hell was the point of the cape? Like, seriously, did they use that to sleep in the mud or something? Like, what the hell? I feel like this was just to make a stormtrooper look slightly more unique than your average stormtrooper.
also thicker and more reinforced than the standard stormtroopers, ideal for trench warfare. Lava troopers were stationed at Fortress Vader on Mustafar, one of the most hostile environments in the galaxy. They wore black armor with red helmet markings, pauldrons, and a breathing apparatus to filter out the volcanic ash that
They look
permanently
so cool.
saturated the atmosphere. Their entire job was to protect Fortress Vader from raids conducted by rebels and invading Mustafarians alike. Another specialized stormtrooper found on Fortress Vader was the Magma Trooper. Their armor was white and closer to the standard Imperial kit, with extra leg plating engineered to withstand extreme temperatures. They could also be found on other volcanic mining worlds, such as Sullust. Space troopers.
So, the Magma Troopers were basically the cannon fodder stormtroopers on lava planets. Gotcha.
Were configured for zero-gravity operations, wearing standard armor fitted with a rebreather pack for vacuum environments. They patrolled the exterior of the Death Star and served aboard Grand Admiral Thrawn's flagship, the Chimera. Honestly, the work doesn't get much lonelier than that. Moving over to stormtroopers who served in specific battlefield roles, Heavy weapon stormtroopers gave up mobility for serious firepower. DLT-19 heavy blaster
And they look
rifles
so cool,
and
too.
large rapid-fire cannons capable of sustained suppressive fire. Black pauldrons marked their role in the squad. Where regular troopers pushed forward, these guys made sure nothing was following them. Rocket troopers handled the anti-armor role with launchers like the RPS-6, and were specifically deployed to crush uprisings fast and visibly. The trade-off was reload time. Between shots, they were completely exposed.
Well, duh.
Red pauldrons typically marked them in the field, which, in hindsight, probably made them more of a priority target. Jump
True.
troopers wore jetpacks for
Oh, these guys are so
flight,
cool.
specialized helmets with breathing tubes, orange shoulder pads, and often carried burst shields and rocket launchers. In contested urban
Shield.
spaces or elevated terrain, a squad of jump troopers changed the whole engagement,
True.
showing up from an angle that nobody was covering. Artillery stormtroopers handled
Oh,
indirect fire weapons,
Oh, yeah.
mortars, fired from behind cover at precisely calculated coordinates.
Normally, I don't really like the color yellow, but on the artillery troopers, it just works. You know, it just works. Like, can we get
Yellow
another pic? Yeah, it just works, right?
Armor markings set them apart visually, and their whole job was reshaping the battlefield before infantry ever made contact, which
Oh,
is
yeah,
honestly a
but-
pretty comfortable way to fight a war.
True.
Grenadier stormtroopers carried grenade launchers, wore a red pauldron, and had a black bandolier across the chest. Most
Cool.
effective in choke points and corridors, anywhere you needed to break up a tight group of enemies fast. Flame troopers carried incendiary weapons and were primarily deployed on Kashyyyk to defend Imperial facilities against the native fauna. Their sealed, reinforced
yeah.
armor was similar to clone
I need to look more into that lore because for the life of me, I thought that Kashyyyk was free. But now that I think about it, Rebels opened up with a bunch of Wookiees in captivity. So I guess after Order 66, the Empire took over Kashyyyk. That wild. I wonder what happened to Kashyyyk.
flame trooper and snow trooper gear. When the mission was to clear terrain rather than hold it, these were your guys. By the time of Moff Gideon's Imperial Remnant, Incinerator troopers had largely replaced flame troopers in the fire combat role. Better trained,
And they
armor
look so
treated
much
against
cooler.
heat, and built specifically for live combat rather than terrain clearing, like what was necessary on Kashyyyk. Riot control stormtroopers carried electro batons and
Oh, now we're
riot
getting into
shields,
the sequels.
and were tasked with dispersing and arresting dissidents. They wore either stormtrooper or scout trooper armor depending on deployment.
Oh wait, no, I'm stupid.
Their job
I'm thinking something
technically
else.
wasn't military engagement. It was enforcement of Imperial civil order. Though, if you were on the receiving end of an electro baton, that distinction probably didn't mean too much. Shock troopers carried over from the Republic, where they'd served as the Coruscant Guard. You'd recognize them immediately. Distinctive
Well,
red
yeah,
and white
obviously.
armor, stationed wherever the Empire needed to look powerful. They often were on bodyguard duty for senators and even Emperor Palpatine himself, and also worked in prison security and as diplomatic escorts. They were the Empire's most visible enforcement arm. Scout
AKA the Empire's bitch boys. As cool as the shock troopers look, fuck them.
troopers wore lighter armor for better maneuverability and a broader mission profile than standard troopers, deployed for speeder bike operations, long-range sniper work, and advanced recon on unfamiliar terrain. They were the eyes of the Imperial military, and a few specialized sub-variants took that role even further. Forest troopers were a scout trooper variant deployed on heavily forested worlds like Kashyyyk. Their armor was camouflaged to blend into dense canopy environments, a meaningful upgrade when your enemy knows the terrain better than you do and has been living in the trees for centuries. I guess the Empire just didn't take Ewoks as seriously as Wookiees, which is why they were absent on Endor. Cave troopers were the subterranean counterpart, Scout troopers equipped with low-light vision gear for operations in darkness and rappelling cables for vertical terrain.
Oh, that's cool.
Caves, tunnels, underground installations. Anywhere the light ran out and standard troopers would be operating blind, cave troopers were the ones sent in first. Storm commandos were elite black armored scout troopers operating deep behind enemy lines. The furthest evolution of the scout trooper doctrine and one of the most capable special forces units in the Imperial military.
And there's just something about that jet black glossy armor that just it looks so good, man. Like so sick, so sick.
Called the Shadow Scouts. Where standard scout troopers handled recon and speeder bike operations, Storm Commandos were full spectrum operators. Sabotage, assassination, intelligence gathering, direct action raids, they did it all, and they did it quietly. Their black armor was designed for night operations and covert infiltration, making them functionally invisible in low-light environments. Think of them as the Imperial equivalent of a Tier 1 Special Operations unit. The ones you only hear about after the mission is already over.
SEALs,
Patrol troopers were essentially the
Yeah.
urbanized Scout Trooper. Rapid response police on Imperial worlds like Corellia, covering city streets on modified speeder bikes that foot patrols couldn't keep pace with. As the Empire tightened its grip
And
on
this armor
occupied
looks so cool
planets,
too, man.
local law enforcement wasn't supplemented, but
In my opinion, this should have been standard Stormtrooper armor. This just looks so sick. This should have been the standard.
replaced
I would have made it the
entirely.
standard.
Shadow troopers wore black
Yeah, see,
armor
this one. This is
close
what
to
I was
the
talking about
standard
when we were
Stormtrooper
talking about
design,
Shadow Scouts.
But fitted with a portable cloaking device that made them nearly invisible. They attacked in coordinated hordes using blaster rifles, flash grenades, and occasionally jetpacks. The combination of numbers and near total concealment wasn't just
time for
tactically
cookies, chat.
effective, but also designed to be psychologically overwhelming. Death Troopers were among the Empire's most capable covert operators, and they looked and sounded the part. Black body armor with vocal scramblers, micro-motion sensors, and heads-up displays tracking both enemy and friendly positions in real time. Trained in unarmed combat, heavy weapons, demolitions, improvised weaponry, guerrilla warfare, and marksmanship. They left no
looking
evidence
troopers,
of
man.
their missions. Most engagements they were a
So
part
sick.
of were never reported, because there was nobody left to report them. Scar Troopers
Then again, I think there needs to be like a Death Trooper movie or something, because if you go look on Rebels and technically Rogue One, Death Troopers look like complete bitches. They're basically the Spartans of Star Wars, but they get taken out so easily. I don't know, man. They're a little bit overrated, but I think they need their own movie to show how devastating they are.
Special Advanced Recon Troopers operated in small autonomous squads, with each member specializing in a different tactical discipline, led by a sergeant. The most notable unit was Task Force 99, who reported directly to Darth Vader and were led by the lightsaber-wielding Sergeant Creel. Think of them as the Empire's answer to the former Clone Force 99. Unconventional, self-directed, and deliberately hard to account for.
I will say, both of those squads in their prime, with all of the all of the weapons and whatnot at their disposal, Bad Batch takes it. Clone Force 99 takes that, sweeps it easily. The only person that I think would be a challenge for the Bad Batch is this big dude in the back, and maybe Sergeant Creel, but the rest of them, they get taken out like cannon fodder. Jesus, I can't talk.
Pilots wore black armor and flew the Empire's iconic standard starfighter and its many variants, from the TIE Advanced to the TIE Bomber. TIE pilots had among the highest casualty rates in the entire military. Within the Imperial Army, they were even informally called coffin jockeys. That's because the standard TIE fighter lacked a hyperdrive, life support system, or deflector shields. The ship's design prioritized production speed over pilot survival.
If you were good
which
enough, you'd
tells
survive,
you a lot about
basically.
Imperial priorities. Their black flight suits included a life support chest piece to partially compensate, though it didn't make much of a difference.
Yeah.
AT-AT pilots operated the Empire's four-legged heavy assault walker in two-person crews, one on driving, one on firing, sometimes with a commander sharing the cockpit. Their pressure-rated suits were designed for cockpit breaches because AT-ATs were high-priority rebel targets. The Battle of Hoth demonstrated both their effectiveness and their vulnerability in the same afternoon.
True.
Tank troopers, AT-ACT pilots, and Juggernaut pilots can all be grouped together. Their armor was similar to that of mud troopers and shore troopers, albeit with unique helmets, each purpose-built for the Imperial vehicle that they operated. All three were also cross-trained as light infantry for recon and skirmishes for rare occurrences when they weren't behind the controls. Combat drivers
They
were
look
trained
so
to
sick. I
handle
love
the
them.
full range of Imperial ground vehicles rather than one specific platform. Their armor was closer to Imperial cadet gear, functional, lightweight, and considerably less intimidating than everything operating around them.
Well, why
Special
would you need it
Forces
to be?
troopers wore armor nearly identical to TIE pilots, but they typically worked on the ground, specializing in infiltration, extraction, and cross-environment combat. One of the most notable associated units was Inferno Squad, the Imperial Special Operations team led by Iden Versio, before most of the unit deserted and joined the Rebel Alliance.
Oh, that's how
shortly
you pronounce
after
her name.
the Battle
Iden,
of
not
Endor.
Eden. My
Purge
dumbass.
troopers served under the Inquisitorius, the Empire's Jedi Hunters, as dedicated assault units and expendable death squads.
Yeah,
They
fair.
operated entirely outside of the public eye. Most Imperial citizens had no
Yeah, but they look
idea
so
they
cool.
even existed. There were two distinct generations. The first were drawn from the last clone troopers off
The
the
phase
line,
ones.
wearing armor similar to that worn by clone paratroopers, and deployed specifically to hunt Jedi survivors in the immediate aftermath of Order 66.
You know, a little side tangent. I have this game. And a sequel. Jedi Survivor and then Fallen Jedi, I think. I have them. Haven't played them yet. Maybe I should play them. I don't know. We'll see.
The second generation replaced them with human recruits as the clone program wound down,
Yeah.
shifting to a Phase 2 derived
Looks
design
so damn
closer
cool,
to the
dude.
standard Stormtrooper appearance.
So cool.
Weapons varied across both generations, including blasters, electro staffs, electro batons, and electro hammers. Tools built for fighting alongside Inquisitors against Jedi Knights. Clone X-Troopers came out of Project Necromancer, a classified Imperial research program run by Dr. Royce Hemlock at Mount Tantus. Selected clones were subjected to extreme experimentation and total psychological reprogramming, stripping them of any independent will and producing soldiers of significantly enhanced capability. Most people who encountered these black armored units had no idea what they were looking at.
And I don't think he mentioned it, but there were also some clone volunteers for this. Those clones are straight up bitches, dude. I hate them so much. I really do.
They show up in The Bad Batch Seasons 2 and 3 and represent one of the darker corners of what the Empire was willing to do to its own soldiers in pursuit of a better weapon. Dark
Yeah.
Troopers are one of the most significant military escalations in Imperial history, and the gap between what they were and what a standard
guys
Stormtrooper was
technically
is enormous.
androids?
The Dark Trooper project
Yeah.
went through multiple phases, starting with armored exosuits worn by human pilots in phases 0 through 2, and escalating to fully autonomous droids of devastating capability by phase 3. Had the program been completed at scale, it would have changed the outcome of the Galactic Civil War.
Oh,
Night
100%.
Troopers are probably the strangest entry on this entire list, and that's saying something for a military that blew up Alderaan. They appear in Ahsoka as the ground forces of Grand Admiral Thrawn on Peridea, a distant world in another galaxy. On the surface, they look like standard stormtroopers with their white armor and familiar silhouette, but the armor is cracked, bandaged, and has kintsugi-style strips of gold. Night Troopers are dead, reanimated through Night Sister magic by the Great Mothers, Thrawn's allies on Peridea. You can kill them in conventional combat, but they might get back up. Night Troopers represent the moment Imperial military doctrine crossed into something far older and stranger. A glimpse of what Thrawn is willing to do in order to take power in the main Star Wars galaxy. Range Troopers were
Basically the Empire, or Disney's canonized version of zombie troopers.
some of the toughest soldiers in the Imperial military, and they were very aware of that fact. They had little regard for what they considered the softer branches of the service. Seen on Vandor and Solo, they wore heavy, fur-reinforced armor and magnetic boots built for traction on fast-moving vehicles in extreme conditions. Designed for deployments where the environment is already trying to kill you before the enemy even gets a turn. Nova Troopers were elite stormtroopers distinguished by their black armor, with colored accents to denote rank. They served as high-priority guards
these
and
guys look
ceremonial
sick.
soldiers for significant Imperial figures and locations.
That black and yellow goes
such
hard.
as Emperor Palpatine's home world.
Way
of
better than
Naboo.
white and yellow.
Nova Troopers were selected from among the best-performing standard stormtroopers and received additional training to match their elevated role. Terror Troopers were disturbing cyborgs created by the Imperial Department of Military Research, their masks designed to resemble the face of
That's
General
breakfast
Grievous. They were armed with cloaking devices similar to Shadow Troopers, as well as stun blasters and long durasteel claws. Boba Fett would lead these soldiers to hunt down Galen Marek and Juno Eclipse at the personal request of Darth Vader. Terror Troopers' strength, speed,
But are
and
they
agility
canon?
were improved via their cybernetic augmentations, allowing them to stand up to even Starkiller in
Okay, so no.
combat.
So these
Royal
guys are
Guards
not
technically
canon.
fall outside the Stormtrooper Corps.
If you guys didn't know, apparently Starkiller and that entire the two games in that quote-unquote universe is not canon.
They answer
According to the
directly
community.
the Emperor and are their own order entirely. But the pipeline connecting them to this list is worth a mention. Royal Guards were hand-selected from within the Stormtrooper Corps, specifically from soldiers who had already proven themselves exceptional.
The
From
best
there,
of the best,
they went through a
basically.
classified training regimen covering hand-to-hand combat, martial arts, and force pike techniques that went well beyond anything standard troopers ever saw.
But they still
Their
get
crimson
bitched.
robes and armor
funny.
became one of the most recognizable symbols of Imperial power in the galaxy. The fact that the Emperor's personal guard was drawn from the same conscript pool as the Empire's most basic soldiers says something about the Corps as a whole, and about how far a stormtrooper could really go if they survived long enough to be noticed.
True.
But which stormtrooper variant is your favorite? Let us
Death Troopers and Shadow Troopers, pretty much all the elite ones. Those are my favorites. Let me know down below in the comments what favorite Stormtrooper you guys like. So, I really want to know if you guys made it this far to the end of the video. But I love Red 5. Go ahead and show Red 5 some love as well if you're a huge Star Wars fan. He's a way better creator than I am, and just I love him. He's a great creator, great info, great everything. Love it. But yeah, YouTube, I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.